It's time to get down to business on TK Business Live, brought to you by the members of the Topeka Independent Business Association. Now, let's join Tara Dimmick, owner and publisher of TK Business Magazine, as we take a look into the business world of Topeka, Kansas.
Hi, and welcome to TK Business Live. I'm Tara Dimmick, and it is great to be with you this Sunday. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family or friends and had a great Black Friday and everybody was safe and found all those deals that you were looking for, as well as an incredible Small Business Saturday. I hope you enjoyed the local shops and spent all your money there. That's where I hope you spend all your money. We've got a great show coming up. Melissa Buescher with Westridge Mall is going to be joining us. They've got lots of great, both local and bigger stores. And we're going to talk about some of the events that Westridge Mall will be having in their store that you can go to while you're shopping. But first, I've got Mike O'Neill joining us. Mike is the president of the Kansas Chamber, and I wanted to get a chance to visit with him and his thoughts on business in Kansas. Welcome, Mike.
Well, thank you for the invitation.
Well, it's great to have you here. And so, we just got off election, and we now have a new president coming in. So what should businesses be thinking about when it comes to Trump being our new president?
Yeah, there's both elation and frankly, a few concerns that need to be worked out. The thing we hear a lot from our business leaders here in the state is just the overwhelming amount of federal regulation that is putting up roadblocks toward their success. A lot of concern over gridlock in Washington that has led to an administration that has governed by executive order, and those executive orders from the presidency and some of the agencies have resulted in some pretty overwhelming regulations. So the promise of this new administration is a gentleman who has campaigned on getting rid of regulations that are really hurting business. On the flip side of that, we've had concern during the election cycle that both Clinton and Trump seem to have taken a position against free trade or against some of the trade agreements that have gone into place or we're hoping that will go into place. We are very interested in free trade, and I don't mean free in the sense that there's no strings attached, but
freedom to trade.
Freedom to trade is the best way of looking at that. I'm amazed in a state the size of Kansas just how much of a global footprint our manufacturers, large, medium, and small, have. I mean, they absolutely
just right here in Topeka, we have global manufacturers.
It's global, and it's 80% of the product is going to be consumed and sold through trade that's beyond our borders, and so it's vitally important that we have that. Obviously, we want to get it right, and we're hoping that Trump is not strictly anti-trade, but wants to make sure that America interests are protected. We would tend to agree with that. We also Kansas is a state that has historically been an immigrant workforce, plays a huge role, whether that be in the ag sector, whether that be in the STEM area. And obviously, we've been frustrated with past administrations, whether they be Democrat or Republican, in not getting or Congresses that have not addressed the immigration issue head on. It is, by definition, a federal issue because it crosses state borders, so it's implicated by the Commerce Clause. But if Congress is not going to act, we would like this administration to at least be open to solutions that are specific to the state. Every state's immigration interests and concerns are different and unique. We have a real need in the state of Kansas for more H-1B visas, temporary seasonal workers. We also, at one end of the spectrum and at the other end of the spectrum, we need engineers, and many of them are trained in the United States but are foreign-born and have to leave before they have the opportunity to work here. We'd like to get those problems solved, and so we're looking forward to maybe an administration that's open to fixing that. Obviously, most of our people would like to see a robust immigrant workforce work, but they're also opposed to illegal immigration, those who are coming across the borders not to work and provide for their families, but for other purposes. And so securing the borders is important. But our footprint is all about what's good for business, and our businesses need those workers, and we'd like to have a pathway where they can make that happen. Whether it's a pathway to citizenship or not, they're good workers. We want them here. We want to have some sort of a compromise that works for both parties. Yeah,
we recently had an article in TK and talking about the immigration debate, and I think it's so easily underplayed what the real issues are. It's just about immigration. It's so much more than that. There's so many people and so many businesses affected. So it's great to hear.
Yeah, part of the concern is, where are the jobs? And the fact of the matter is we know that the jobs are there.
Yeah,
they just can't be filled. And that gets undercounted or not counted. The unemployment rate does not address the fact that there are jobs that can't be filled. Mm-hmm. And so there's sort of a false narrative out there that, the administration hasn't done enough to create jobs. There are plenty of job openings, but we have concerns in workforce development. We have concerns in some areas where their unemployment rate is low enough that the drug fail rate is greater than the rate of unemployment. And so it's an impossible situation where you've got job openings but can't fill them with qualified individuals. And so we're doing a lot of things right in the state, but we've got to get the workforce development issues, we've got to get the immigration issues solved at some point so that we can continue to grow.
So that leads me into the next question. What's going on for the Kansas Chamber in 2017?
It really is what we're hearing more and more when we do our annual business leaders poll every year, and we do that. And this is not a poll just of our members. In fact, probably more of them may not be members, but it is a statistically significant sampling of businesses across the state to kind of take their pulse on what's going on. Every year, taxes and health care costs are usually 1 and 2, mm-hmm. but the one that has been concerning and rising up the list of priorities for businesses is workforce, and some of it is hard skills, and some of them are more and more it's employability skills. It's the old soft skills that we now talk more in terms of employability, and this is where education plays a vital role. Our concern over time has been that on paper, our goals seem to be, and our mission seems to be the same. Getting these kids ready for college and career, and having a qualified workforce that we can draw from. And yet, many times, education and the businesses have been working in a parallel universe. We need to break that down. We need to get these two universes communicating with each other and actually aligning the needs of business with the educational opportunities. And I'm starting to see some real progress there. The new CEO of the Board of Regents, Blake Flanders, has really made it a career of workforce development within the Regent system. Randy Watson, a very refreshing new face for public education, K through 12. He gets it. He wants to see every student be able to achieve their maximum aptitude, identify it as early as possible, design individualized plans of instruction, work with business directly to align the needs of business. We need to probably take a big breath and admit that not every student may be best served by a college education. Mm-hmm. There are a number of fabulous jobs out there that go wanting because they don't have the applicants. And this may be peer pressure. It may be parental expectation. It may be just a perception that I've just got to go to college. And yet there are a lot of trades out there. And Kansas has a lot of training programs that are available. And so we're working real hard to try to open the minds of parents and students to some of the incredible opportunities that are out there. And it's not just manufacturing, but manufacturing being about a third of our membership base. It's huge. And we've got manufacturers who've got job openings and just can't fill them. And it's not a low-paying job. Perception is wrong. In fact, they come right out of a training program, and some of it may be formal training, some of it may be on-the-job training, and very high wages and no student debt. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not advocating against college education. I'm just saying that we need to be broaden our perspective as to what these opportunities are out there, so that students can make informed decisions about what they really want to do.
Yeah, I look at my own family. I'm of the three kids of my parents. I'm the only one who has I have an MBA, but my other two siblings, neither one of them have a college education, and both of them are extremely successful because they chose a tech school that was addressing exactly what they wanted to do.
Perfect.
And it was a great way for all three of us to find our own path to be successful. And I think that's very true. And I look at my own kids, and I'm sure any parent can, and see that child is so different from child two. They're just complete different worlds of how their brain works.
Exactly.
So
that would describe my two kids.
You're like, how did I have those two kids? I don't even know how they both came. So workforce development has been in every conversation I have, in every committee I talk with, in any conversation I have with, even like you talk with Westar, you talk with the retirement wave issues, you talk about the talent swap. This is a huge deal. So it's exciting to hear that those conversations are being had.
It is, and the frustration that we have is we're still losing a lot of our kids that are just graduating because they feel like that there are better opportunities somewhere other than Kansas, and so that's troublesome. We're also hearing some very refreshing news from our membership, and of course we're networking with our membership base and new businesses all the time. It is, we're losing the ones right out of college, and then when they get in their 30s and start having a family, here they come. They come back because we do have a great state. We have great schools. We have great opportunity, a very great standard of living, fairly low cost of living. And I advocate strongly for a low tax environment. Mm-hmm. I know there's controversy about that in some circles, and I'm happy to talk about that in more depth, but. And it was the Heartland that decided this last election. Thank God for the Electoral College, because if it weren't for that, we would have, the San Franciscos and the Los Angeleses, the Chicagos and the New Yorks telling the American people who their elected, who their president is going to be. And so, if you look at that electoral map, you see that the Heartland very much wanted to have their voices heard, and I think have had their voices heard in a very positive way.
Yeah, very much so. It was a very red map.
Yes,
very red map. It looked a lot like the Verizon map.
Yes. Good.
I saw that ad come out.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
So let's talk just a little bit about education, because that's a big deal in Kansas right now. And you touched on it a little bit. We touched on it with workforce development. But even moving forward, I think that oftentimes Brownback, the Republican Party in general, is kind of comes across or is tainted in some ways as almost anti-education. Clear that up.
Well, I think the problem is born out of the fact that Kansas, for a state that commits more than 50 cents of every tax dollar to K through 12 education. Think about that for a minute. We're like in the top 4 or 5 states in the country in terms of the level of commitment of their state general fund to public education. And we're very supportive of that, and we have not advocated for cuts. What we advocate for is an efficient use of those dollars, such that we get our proficiency rates up. We get kids that are truly, when they get their diploma, are college or career ready. Now, there's no guarantees stamped on that diploma, but we're frustrated that we're spending a lot of money on students that have a diploma that says, I'm ready for college or career, who are not prepared for work, or when they go to college are taking developmental courses at an alarming rate that also cost money before they're even in a position where they can be successful at the college level. So what we're insisting on is a very efficient use and a coordination between higher ed and K-12, and networking with businesses to address the needs of business, because we want these kids to stay in the state and have opportunities in the state. And it's probably going to take the same amount of money, but what concerns us is with a modest increase in enrollment, a modest increase in the number of teachers, we've seen a very alarming increase in non-instructional expenditures. So we're seeing a lot of money being spent, but a lot of it is being diverted to non-instructional areas. And we would like to see a lot more efficiencies there. And the fact that Kansas has been involved with all those things being said, we're involved in litigation year after year, decade after decade. Finally, however, I think, and again, we're waiting on this last decision from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, I think, has finally kind of turned the corner on what is important. It's not about how much is spent, but how it is spent. And they've now focused on, now the definition of adequacy is going to be whether the amount and the application, the actual allocation of those funds is done in a way that's reasonably calculated to lead to the outcomes that we all expect. And when you look at the list of outcomes in the statute, there's very few. You can be liberal or you can be conservative. You can look at those outcomes and say, yeah, that's what I want for Johnny and Susie. So there's a lot of things we can agree on. And now if we start focusing those resources to that end game outcomes and not inputs like it was during the previous litigation, I think we're onto something here. That doesn't mean that the legislature isn't going to anguish about how much money the Supreme Court wants to have spent, and that's a very debatable issue. But at least the focus now is on getting those kids the outcomes that they deserve. If there's going to be a constitutional right to public education, there ought to be a right to expect that for all those resources that are being committed to education, that we get the outcomes that we expect.
Great. Okay, so it wouldn't be, I couldn't bring you here and not ask you about the business taxes that are going on in that conversation.
What is amazing to me, it just makes my head spin, that somehow the narrative has succeeded in convincing people that reducing personal income taxes for everybody, including businesses, but for everybody, has led to a decline in commodity prices in the ag sector, a decline in the price per barrel for oil, and a lagging aviation economy. Because those three things that I just mentioned are the reason why we're kind of stuck in neutral. Actually, we're better than neutral, but we're kind of lagging behind economically. But there's no connection between reducing personal income taxes and those three things. There's no connection between lowering personal income taxes and the fact that we've been off on our estimates on sales tax and corporate income tax. Corporate income tax was not reduced. It was not raised. It was kept the same. Mm-hmm. Sales tax has actually increased over the rate of sales tax. Totally, neither one connected to personal income tax reductions. And yet the narrative out there is that, well, we're having all of these economic struggles because we reduced income taxes. Nothing could be further from the truth. And we're seeing the fact that the reduction in income taxes has produced over 20,000, and this is not even 2015 numbers because those numbers haven't been produced yet because October 15th was the last day you could file taxes for that 15 year. 2013 and 2014 produced over 20,000 new to Kansas taxpayers who brought in over $1 billion of revenue, of which a little over $900 million was taxable. This is almost a direct result of a change in tax policy that brought business to the state, put out a welcome mat for business. And now we've got some people who say, well, now that they're here, we ought to change the rules in the middle of the game and say, thank you, but now we're going to raise your taxes again. That's not the way to grow the economy in Kansas. It's a way to cripple the economy in Kansas. But in this last election cycle, for whatever reason, those who did not support the administration were somehow able to get people to believe that a reduction in income taxes was the cause of all these economic doldrums. Aviation is going to come back. The ag commodity prices are going to come back. Oil and gas is on an uptick. We're going to get through this. A lot of other states are fighting deficits, a lot bigger than Kansas, and they didn't reduce taxes. This is not a state issue. This is a national problem that we're seeing, and we, Kansas, will get through it, and we'll get through it quicker and better than some of these other states who don't have the economic tools that we have.
Yeah, my dad his business is in oil, and it's been fascinating to kind of watch him go through this process, and he's just holding on because he knows that that's just part of the wave. You just have to get through it. Right.
Yeah, ag commodity prices. I mean, average income for farmers has gone from $100,000, $150,000 down to $5,000. I mean, they go through these same type of cycles as some of our folks in the oil patch, but it is cyclic. And I have a lot of hope. Obviously, you can tell from my interview today that I'm pleased with the new administration. While I have some concerns about some trade and immigration issues, I think we're on the right track. Get rid of some of those regulations that are getting in the way, and hopefully a tax policy that's going to be favorable to business. A lot of the problems we're having in Kansas aren't Kansas created. They're actually created at the national level. And I think we get some of that turned around, we're going to be in good shape.
So before I let you go, talk a little bit about why a business wants to be a member of the Kansas Chamber.
Yeah, most of our members would tell you, in fact, probably the best compliment that we get is really short. It actually fit on a bumper sticker, and it's a member who said, they're there so I don't have to be. Our businesses are doing a great job of knocking it out of the park every day. They go to work, they show up, they have good work ethic. Their employees have good work ethic. All they want to do is produce. They want to do the best for their companies and for their employees, and they don't want to have to spend most of their time, fighting government regulations or whatever. So in 1924, it was decided that they needed a statewide organization that was going to be there so that they don't have to be, and that's who we are. And so we're basically, as the saying goes, if you're not at the table, you may find yourself on the menu. We're there at the legislature every year to push pro-business initiatives, but also most days, and even more importantly, to fight against things that would actually turn the clock back on business progress. So we're there to push good policy. We're also there to block bad things from happening, and we've done a pretty successful job of that over the years. We love doing it for our members, and they love the fact that there's an organization that they can belong to that they know they can depend on to fight for their interests.
So how can a business learn more about Kansas Chamber?
KansasChamber.org.
That sounds perfect. That was easy. So go check out Kansas.
And seriously, we are a member-driven organization. We develop a legislative agenda each year that a board of about 50 very diverse, large, medium, and small business leaders who are members of our board. They vote on our legislative agenda, and that's what we take to the legislature each year. And anybody can go to the website and see what that legislative agenda says. And like I said, we talked about education. We've got I'm very proud of the education agenda that we have, and it'll probably carry over till next year.
Awesome. Mike, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
That was Mike O'Neill, President and CEO of the Kansas Chamber.
My name is Jennifer Kermis, Vice President of Business Development with the Jura Credit Union.
TIBA is advice and support. TIBA is information and education. TIBA is a voice for small businesses.
My biggest advantage would be being able to network and get to know who all of the members are of TIBA and how their businesses operate, what the different needs are for their business, and really get to understand the different business opportunities that are out there in Topeka.
The Topeka Independent Business Association is strong because of its members. Become a member today by visiting topekatiba.org.
I have Melissa Buescher back with me. We talked last week about Westridge Mall and Black Friday. So, Melissa, how did it go? How was Black Friday?
Oh, it was awesome. We had a great crowd out there.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so now you guys have just begun, right? This is just the holiday season has started. So what are some of the cool things that people can find when they go out to Westridge Mall to do some of their holiday shopping?
Well, all the stores are running weekly specials right now. I can tell you Kirkland's has got some fun new things every week for home decor. Bath & Body Works has got a lot of fun stuff. Our Yankee Candle store is geared up.
Awesome. Okay, so how about the events? You've got a ton of events going on.
Yes, we have a calendar full of events right now. So the Angel Tree kicks off the 28th, Monday. And so if you are looking to adopt a child or even a family, make sure you come on out. It's located upstairs next to Sears. There's a tree full of angels, and we want to see everyone get adopted and get back to those kids here in the community. We've got on Wednesday this week our Harvesters Bag Hunger event. We have got all of our tenants together, and we are going to be packing holiday meals for families. So every family's got a nice meal to go home with.
That's been a really cool partnership that Westridge Mall has done with Harvesters. And Bartlett and West has been involved in that.
And they will be again for this event as well. So
Awesome. Okay, what else is going on?
We've got a lot of lunch hour performances booking up. We still have people coming in, but if you need a good lunch break inside, come on out to the mall. We've got in our upper level food court, we're going to be having holiday performances throughout the whole month during lunch break hours.
Cool.
We've got, every Saturday is full of something. We've got Sam's Club is going to sponsor a breakfast with Santa on Saturday the 3rd. So definitely bring the kids out for that. Have breakfast with Santa. Stick around. Beverly Bernardi's Dance Studio's coming out to do holiday performances. Sunday night, we're doing our Sensitive Santa, or Sunday morning, I apologize. That's going to be 9 a.m. until 11. And we do this every year for children with special needs. They can come out and have a quiet environment to come out and visit Santa. And they don't have to sit in the long lines, and the hustle and bustle of the center is not in full gear yet. So we do some special activities and sensory things for the kids so they can come out and enjoy their visit with Santa.
That's awesome.
And then that evening, we've got a busy Sunday. That evening, bring out your furry friends because we're doing our Santa Pet Night photos. So it's always a big hit here in the community. Again, the whole week full of holiday performances. And then we're doing something a little different this year. We are doing the Nutcracker Santa Day.
With Kansas Ballet, right?
Yes, absolutely. They've come out and performed before, but this year they are doing a whole day where they're sponsoring the Santa. They're going to come out and do a meet and greet for a couple of hours Saturday afternoon, get some pictures taken with them, and then also they're signing up to give away tickets. I believe they're giving away 20 tickets to the ballet. So definitely come out there, bring the kids. It's just a fun theme weekend for our center. And then that following Sunday night, if you missed the first pet night, we're offering a second Santa Pet Night, and it's been such a big hit over the last couple of years that
it's a cool thing to do.
It is. We've had to do 2 different dates for it this year because last year was so busy.
Was it?
It was.
Is that hard when a bunch of animals are in line together?
Sometimes, but we set up the stanchions and the lines, and they're kind of like small children. You just kind of have to keep them entertained, and Petland sponsors it, so they have treats out there and make it fun for everyone. So
I love it.
Yeah.
So we're getting closer to Christmas now.
We are. So Saturday the 17th, we are doing something with Cookies by Gala. They're going to be doing a Santa sponsorship as well, and you can come out for Cookies with Santa. Cool. And they're going to be doing cookie decorating out in front of her store for the kids. So we're really excited for that activity for the kids to come out and get to do that.
That's awesome. So it sounds like your Saturdays and Sundays are packed. I mean, if you're coming to the mall, there's going to be some really fun stuff that you can do, not just go shopping, but actually maybe entertain the kids with, get to go see Santa, and some added bonuses of ballet and cookies. That sounds
absolutely fabulous. I have a big family myself, so I have to put my mom hat on and think about
what would you want to do?
What would I want to do for my kids? So yeah, it's fun for everyone, even the guys. Pizza Pub's always kicking in full gear. They've got games on down there for the guys. So it's okay to come out and shop in kids' activities, and mom can come out and have fun and get her shopping done.
That's awesome. Melissa, thank you for joining me. It's exciting to see all the things that are happening over at Westridge Mall.
Absolutely. Thank you.
If you want to go get that list of some of the events going on at Westridge Mall, go check it out at westridgemall.com, and you can kind of see all the different activities they got going on. Thanks so much to my guests for joining me, and I hope you have a fabulous week. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining Tara and her guests on TK Business Live. Join us again next Sunday at 11:30 to hear more from our community business leaders, entrepreneurs, and people making a difference in the landscape of how business is progressively moving forward in Topeka. TK Business Live is brought to you by the members of the Topeka Independent Business Association.